What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're in the final days of January 2025, which means we are days away from Limited 10 becoming an optics legal division. And I'm here to give you 5 reasons why you should give peace a chance and maybe think that that's a good thing for our sport. Very popular for a long time to pick on Lim 10. It was a very small black sheep division forced on us by the Clinton years. I think a lot of people resent it just for that reason alone. But currently, I think there's 2 kinds of people that really pick on Lim 10 and go out of their way to do it. And there are people who do that. One is people who are towards the top of the list in a division and their ego is fragile enough that they need to congregate as many people below them as possible so that they can tell themselves they're better than everybody else. I don't really relate with those people. And then there's the people who think it's a small enough group that it's a victimless crime for them to pick on. They're not really hurting anybody. But I see you. I don't relate with either of those 2 causes, all right? As long as they're shooting by a set of rules, they're not really hurting anybody. Just like revolver guys. They're doing their own thing. Let them be. Their match fee pays just as good as anybody else's. And if they want to shoot the sport, let them. But here's 5 reasons why I think it's a good thing. All right. I've advocated for a low cap optics division for a long time. I think this is a healthy evolution for our sport. Here's why. First and foremost, it is a place for guns that don't really have a home in our sport right now. There technically is a place where a gun could legally fit in a division within USPSA, but just because they fit doesn't mean they belong. All right, kind of like society. Okay, sometimes there just needs to be an others category, and it's kind of that. All right, so here would be a prime example. This is a Lim 10 optics gun. All right, doesn't really fit in any other division. It's low capacity, so it's not really a good limited optics gun. It's got an optic on it, so it's not a single stack gun. And even if it was, it's got a bull barrel on it, so it's not legal in single stack. All right, here is a completely viable gun that somebody could have bought at a store and said, I'm going to shoot competition with this. They show up to the match and say, oh, there's nowhere I really fit. All right. Not to say that we need to make a niche category for everyone, but a lot of guns, especially in the post 2020 era, guns are coming optics ready. And if they're not, if they aren't a double stack 1911 or a carry optics legal gun, where do they fit in somewhere that someone would feel like it belonged? All right. So here's an example of a gun that didn't have a home before. Now it does because of Lim 10 optics. Here's another one. All right. Very trendy right now in the double stack 1911 world to make 1911s that take other magazines. However, some of these other magazines were not intended as competition magazines, so you can't stuff 24 rounds in them. So somebody who shows up with a gun like this to a match and gets shoved into limited or limited optics because it's a single action gun, all right, they get shoved into limited optics and they're like, well, I mean, yeah, that's where I legally fit, but like I don't have a place that my gun doesn't fit in this game. Like now I need to buy another gun. So there are guns that don't necessarily fit anywhere else that I think could fit here fairly well. Number 2, it's more applicable and more palatable to someone new to the sport with new guy gear. All right. So if you go to a match and you look around, if you really look around at what the regulars have, y'all don't have normal stuff. All right. You have USPSA stuff. All right. You either have a double stack 1911 of some kind or a carry optics gun, a Shadow, a Tangfo, something like that. Or if you're shooting a polymer frame gun, it's highly modified. All right. You definitely have a different trigger in it. And you definitely have wild and crazy magazines that somebody isn't going to just walk out the gun store with. All right, so if they show up, even if they show up with an M&P or a Glock, their M&P or their Glock is not like yours. They don't feel like they have the right stuff. So It's more of a division. It's like, well, hey, here's this other division. You know, it's kind of, your gun fits just fine right here. Load your mags to 10 rounds. You're good to go. Everybody's playing by the same rules. Everyone's got the same number of bullets as you do. So I think it is more applicable to people with, or more approachable for people with new guy gear when they're bringing the gun that they have, not the gun that they bought to specifically play the game. I think it has closer relevance to concealed carry, number 3. All right, our boy Hunter Constantine making shooting from concealment a thing. Limited 10 optics is probably more closely correlated to guns that people who are carrying guns actually carry. Now, I'm first in line to tell you that I actually carry guns that people think that no one actually carries. But if you think of the quintessential gun that somebody's carrying right now, picture a Glock 19 with an optic, a Glock 48 with the shield mag in it, with the 15 round mag in it, a P365. These are guns that wouldn't really fit in any other category except carry optics or limited optics or open. If they have ported barrels, well, they still wouldn't fit in Lim 10 optics, but they're really carry optics or limited optics guns by the rules. But those magazines don't even come close to holding a relevant amount of ammunition in those divisions. So if we want to create a viable place for people to compete with concealed carry gear, it's a pretty easy logical step for people to say, oh, Lim 10, that's where my carry gear fits. That could be the carry gun division. PCSL came out with a division like this, actual carry gun. All right, so they too are kind of catering a division towards these EDC type guns. Lim 10 optic is closer to accommodating common EDC guns than any other division in USPSA currently. So that's number 3. 4, it creates nuance to the game. A lot of people really do want to just come in, load the gun full of bullets, and just hose everything. But being around the sport for a little while, I have also watched those people come in, the video game generation come in, hose everything with the bullets, get pretty good at it, and then say, well, now what? All right, they're adults. All right, so they're like, okay, well, what else is there? All right, people started drinking when they were around 21 years old or earlier when I was in college. All right, and they would just drink whatever would get the job done. All right, and then they all grew up. I think any of them now who are spending their own money on, well, most of them I would say that are spending their own money on stuff, just getting the buzz ain't the deal anymore. Like, they want it to taste good too. All right, so as you start to acquire a palate for action shooting, you start to have an interest in other nuance of the game. People find their way to the lower capacity divisions because it takes more strategy, it takes more discipline, it takes all kinds of stuff to shoot in the lower capacity divisions that you really are missing out on in the higher capacity divisions. So it creates nuance to the game. It creates something for people to explore once they've been around here for a while and they're looking for a little something different. That is a tip of the hat towards shooter retention and sustainability. All right, we want to keep, once people are in our sport, we want to keep them here so that our support continues to grow and thrive. All right, so creating nuance to the game, creating various ways to participate keeps people once they have gotten through their initial phases of indoctrination into the sport. It gives them an option to experience the game in a different way without fundamentally changing it for everyone else, should they choose to. And then it's an opportunity to evolve. Right now, USPSA doesn't have a mechanism to delete a division. They literally don't know how to do it. And if they did know how to do it, they certainly all couldn't agree on how to do that or if they should do that. So Lim 10 was here to stay for a while. And since it was inactive, it was essentially an opportunity for them to try something different to see if the market will sustain it or not. All right. We did something similar to this in 3-Gun, all right? 3-Gun has, and for those not familiar, has a division called TAC Optics. TAC Optics was the King Daddy division for as long as I've been in the sport. All right. But as optics ready pistols came onto the market, we wanted a place for them to shoot. Old timers or the establishment of the sport would say, well, they can shoot in open. All right. Which is a dumb thing to say, and that's a whole other video. But guess what? Very few of them went to shoot in open, okay? Just so they could shoot their red dot pistol. So proposed making a change to TAC optics. Well, gosh, proposing a change in the shooting sports. All right, I did it one time. Like, I literally lit the world on fire when I said I was gonna change TAC optics into a red dot pistol division. People lost their minds. Like, all right. So what we did instead is we created modified division. We left TAC optics alone, even though it was frozen in time and becoming obsolete. Left it alone, created modified. All right, modified is the new place. That's the new thing. Well, here's a new set of rules. Nobody's emotionally attached to what that is. Here's modified if you want to play there. All right, guess what happened? People left TAC optics. They went into open and they went into modified. TAC optics is now shrinking and probably quickly going to become about as relevant as production division is in USPSA today. I would say within the next 2 years, participation numbers in TAC optics will be similar to production in 3-gun. We created a new pasture and we saw who wanted to eat there. As it turns out, a lot of people did. All right, so that tells us what the market wants. We didn't have to ruin anybody's thing that they really liked, but as participation in something like that wanes, then you start to have the ability to consolidate things into something else. So in the 3-gun world, well, how different is TAC optics from limited? And what do we like about limited and what do we like about TAC optics? Maybe those two are more similar than they are different. When I started, they were very different. Now, they're not so different. Same thing in USPSA. When I started in USPSA, production was very different than single stack, all right? Now, in today's day and age, if you roll up to a match and you're shooting one of those two divisions, you have more in common with each other than you do have with the rest of the field, pretty much. So maybe it starts to make sense that maybe those divisions should consolidate in some way, which is something someone has talked about. But again, that would involve a quorum that we don't quite have, all right? But if you let people vote with their participation, you can see what they want to do. And as they have new opportunities to participate in different ways, you can see where those move around. So now they have limited 10 optics. You better believe the people at the office are watching participation numbers. Do people participate in Lim 10? They have your member number. They can also see what you were shooting before that drew you in there. Is Lim 10 appealing to production shooters? Is it appealing to single stack shooters? Are people leaving carry optics and limited optics to shoot limited 10? These are things that they can see. Bonus number 6. They left it major minor. All right, so for all you that complained about limited optics not recognizing major, and I have a limited 4D gun, here you go. It's major. You can shoot major minor there. So it's a home for those guns. As much as I like Lim 10, I don't know that major is going to stay a viable part of our sport long enough for me to invest in a Lim 10 major gun. Now, I say that, but as of today, I don't intend to buy a Lim 10 major gun. But if you already have a gun and maybe getting an optic on it puts you in that division, all right, it's a place that you can still shoot major. It's the only division they've introduced in the last, 10 years that recognized major, all right? Since single stack, a new division in USPSA has not recognized major, which I think is a good thing because ultimately I think major makes the sport artificially more expensive than it needs to be. But for those interested in the dynamic of major minors power factor scoring, here's a new place that you can shoot major power factor with guns that are relevant to it. What will be popular in that division? I don't know. I think it's going to put a lot of uncommon adversaries against themselves, right? I think we're going to see guns that we wouldn't normally think of as going up against each other, and they're going to have a place to commingle. So I think it's very interesting. There's 6 reasons why maybe you should think it's interesting too. And like I said, give peace a chance. Maybe try it out and see if you like it before you take a giant dump on it. And yeah, I'm here for it. I'm Lim 10 Optic guy. Any match that recognizes it probably for this season, I'm probably going to shoot it just because I'm down. I'm down for that. And I hope you are too. At least give it a try. Tell me what you think in the comments. And we'll see you next time.